Johnny Roberts, how is your week going for you, sir?
It is going good.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm having a great time. I was thinking before we got here that if I could do an Irish accent, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But I was
It's
thinking,
magically, how do they do it? Lucky Charms magically delicious.
there,
Magically delicious, my friend.
Lucky Charms. I love that. Takes me back to my childhood, all the TV commercials.
Oh,
Magically
yes.
delicious.
Didn't they have the best commercials?
Oh, they
Like
do.
I'm a kid of the 80s pretty much,
Yeah.
so man, they had the best commercials back then.
Yeah. They're still on YouTube. I looked one up the other day. I was in teaching Sunday school. I teach fourth and fifth graders, and somebody came up with like a lollipop or something, and I said, "Hey, do you know how many licks it takes to get to the center of lollipop?"
I
They
know.
were clueless.
They don't know. You can go, it is cool on YouTube. I mean, this is how I guess pathetic I am. It sounds like you might be too, but you can go on these YouTube and look like commercials of the kid commercials of the 80s
Oh
or
yeah,
toy commercials, and you can sit there and watch them for like 30 minutes, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, I remember that
yeah,
Star Wars toy commercial or that G.I. Joe or
yeah.
cereal commercial. And
Well, cereal, my favorite cereal commercial, of course. My name's Mike, right? Mikey, let's give
yeah,
it to Mikey. He's
Mikey
not gonna
likes
like
it.
it. Mikey hates everything.
Mikey likes it.
Hey, Mikey, I love that commercial, and that, and and we'll be done after this. I really, the Oscar Mayer baloney commercial with the little kid walking on the dock, right? My baloney has a first name. It's
Yep.
Car. That one, I could just sing the whole thing too. I just love that commercial.
I know they were so cool. The last thing on the commercials is, do you remember? Because some you can go watch old movie trailers too.
Uh-huh.
Like, do you remember? It's so different in the movie trailers. There used to be like a voiceover, like a guy that would talk about the movie,
Oh,
right? Remember that?
yeah,
He would be like, um, Ethan Hunt has never faced anything like this before, but
yeah.
today he'll face, and they don't do that in movie trailers anymore. But it was kind of cool if you go
I,
back and watch those old ones.
I hadn't thought
Bucky
about that, but you're
Balboa
right.
has never faced the challenge like now. And
Yes,
he must, after losing his friend Apollo Creed, now he must face all the movie trailers are like that. So that was kind of cool. They sound cheesy now, but
they do. Oh,
it
Apollo
was
Creed
cool.
and Rocky. Bum, 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 dum, dum, bum, dum, dum, dum.
Mhm.
You kind of look like Rocky, man. We did that.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah. Little brother
we
family.
started this whole thing about commercials because we were talking about Lucky Charms, which is the theme of this episode. Is not Lucky Charms, but it's what you find at the end of that rainbow. And at the end of a rainbow, of course, is a pot of gold. And what we want to talk today about how you can help people buy a pot of gold. What is that all about, Johnny?
Well, we kind of touched on it, I guess the concept of it last week. If you're going into a financial situation or retirement in your life and you think on spending money on certain products versus it being looked at like an investment,
Yeah.
it's totally, totally different on how you approach it. And I think your eyes will be more wide open to what the potential are for those certain situations. So buying a pot of gold or investing in it is like insurance is one way about it, like life insurance. And we've talked about life insurance in the past
Yeah.
several times on some of these episodes. But the mindset is look at it as an investment, especially at certain ages in your life, of because what it all can do,
Yeah.
and don't just think of it, I got to buy a policy so I can get buried, or I got to buy a policy to pay the house off. That is all can be true with life insurance, but during the retirement years, life insurance can tie into taxes, it can tie into um, living benefits if you get sick with a chronic illness or something like
Oh,
that. And so it makes that initial $3,000 a year or whatever it is, quote unquote, premium into more of an investment into your financial future if these scenarios arise.
right.
If for sure it's going to pay out in a death claim,
Oh,
for
big
sure.
time.
But
Well,
there's other things that um, it can really be beneficial for. But you got to get off of like, oh, it's just a bill I got to pay every year.
right.
It
Yeah.
needs
It
to
is
be
a
just like savings. It needs to be just like another form of investment in your head, is how you got to look at it. And it'll kind of change how you feel about it.
it is. And when people understand it, and I think we did an episode a while back about the living benefits of life insurance. And my sons have life insurance, permanent life insurance policies that we put in place a number of years ago. And my youngest son is 26 now. He's married. He's got my 5-month-old grandbaby. So I'm in the grandbaby phase with you as well. But they bought a house that was an older house, and it had different repairs. Well, 3 or 4 months after they got in the house, what happened? The air conditioner went out, and it was June or
Mhm.
July. And they're building their house, building their equity and things. And he's like, I don't have $10,000 or $12,000 just sitting around. But he had a life insurance policy that had enough cash value in it that he could pull some money out of that cash value to buy the air conditioner, and it was that loan, right? He's going to pay it back. But it's an investment because his pot of gold is big enough that he can actually go borrow against it without affecting it. And that's one of the things I love about thinking about insurance and as a pot of gold. You can take some money, but it doesn't. You're not taking your own money. You're taking somebody else's money, and that's just one aspect of life insurance. But you're right; it is going to pay out because it's a contractual agreement. There's no if, and, or buts. You will find the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow, right?
Oh yeah, the money you put into it will always buy a pot of gold or more money than what you're investing into it for sure. There's always going to be growth on your money if you want to use it that way,
Yeah.
or a return on your money in the event of something bad happening, or if you want to supplement retirement with cash value draws and things like that.
Mm,
That's awesome too. So there's so
yeah.
many things we've talked about this before, so many different avenues life insurance can be used for. And we kind of been touching on this last couple of weeks because it's so important.
Yeah.
Is when you're married and you have those middle bucket IRA money, man, life insurance can be a tool to help offset taxes when you pass away as well. So I already got life insurance for burial. I already got life insurance for this. But do you have it in your overall plan? Look at it as uh, a tax buffer,
Yeah.
a
I,
tax buffer, because the money you leaving behind that's in that middle bucket IRA is taxable. So this buffer you can get will help offset those taxes so as it is not as much damaging uh, to your loved one you leave it behind to.
that's right.
So yeah, look at those things because it's one of the few tax-free uh, benefits out there that are left. And
It, it,
so if it costs you 3,000, if you're 70 years old
yeah.
and it costs you 2,000 bucks a year for $50,000, man, it would take you 25, what is that? $2,000 times 10 is 20 times 20 is 40. It'd take you about 25 years before those numbers equal each other, right?
Right. Yeah.
25 years. Average lifespan, probably not going to get there. If you get there, awesome. You live longer. What are you mad about? You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
Exactly.
It's all right, you know, but it's been an investment
Yeah.
um in protecting your family for different aspects,
That's right.
taxes is one
And the
of them.
money's still there. Even if you pay it, I mean, you're going to get growth on that, number one, but you're going to pay it, and then you're finally going to die when you're 100 or whatever. And then your family gets that money tax free. So it's not like the
Absolutely.
money
And
goes away.
you can set them up to where the insurance actually grows every year.
Yeah.
So as you make your payment, it'll never catch up,
Right.
because by the time you pay 25,000 into this policy, the policy could be worth 75,000.
That's right.
So yeah, I put in 50, but the death benefit's still worth 75. So you can set it up now where that it's called an increasing death benefit, where the death benefit will increase by what your premiums are, what that
Yeah.
cash value grows by pretty much every single year. So
Yeah.
you'll never be able to catch up to it, you
It's
know?
pretty crazy. And I think that's why one reason, Johnny, I want to keep talking about life insurance and annuities in totally different ways because these are different products today than they were 20, 30 years ago. And there is so much value packed into these products and so many other things. We've done episodes recently on these different, I think you call them riders, about different income riders and different long-term care riders and things, ways to protect your family and your money using these tools that have been around for 200 plus years, but they've changed with the times. And
Absolutely.
you and I were
For
talking.
sure.
I think we're off mic about how no, we were talking about your grandkids and when they come over to your backyard, they got the blow up things in the pools and all. You said my kids never had any of this stuff, but you've changed
Yeah.
with the times. And I think insurance companies have too, and they offer so many great benefits, and that's why we talk about it so much.
Yeah, you'll get people that'll come in and sit down with me and you bring up certain financial tools. Maybe it is an annuity, maybe it is life insurance or another a vehicle. And people have such a preconceived notion like, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with annuity. Oh, I don't want to have anything to do with life insurance. And they're so adamant about it. And they do not open their eyes up to what these new tools can do. I remember my dad 15 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. He's passed away now since my mom, but whenever they first came out, he got this thing. I went over to his house. He goes, "Look at this thing. I got a Roku stick." I said, "What is that?"
Yeah,
And he was showing me and all that stuff. Of course, we had cable. And I thought,
yeah,
well, that's dumb. I would never get one of those things, you know. I mean, I like having my cable. I can record stuff still or whatever. Guess what? We don't have cable anymore. And I
that's
love the
right.
Roku stick.
Isn't
You
it
know what I
great?
mean? My mindset changed because once I realized all it can do,
Yeah,
and it made it, in the word, the concept was you can get just as much, if not more channels.
yeah,
Your payment you make every month for your entertainment provides more value than what cable does.
right.
So after I got through my little initial Roku so stupid that's never going to work, blah 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 blah, I realized, wow, I can pay half the price and I've got all these other things now I can watch versus
Yeah,
if I'm paying this much for cable.
yep,
And you
exactly.
gotta you gotta think about that when it comes to retirement. It's like, oh, I'll never do anything with it. I'll never get life insurance. I'll never do this or that. Man, you better open up your eyes
That's right.
because sometimes those things are the things that are going to make you realize this is what's going on now. If I do this over here, it can be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a point that we really need to make is it's not about the products. It's about the a math term, the product, right? Isn't the math the product, the number at the bottom, like the sum or something? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not about the products you use, it's about the end result. What are you trying to make happen in your retirement? And who cares what products you use to get there if they're going to allow you to have that purpose-driven retirement, to have blow-up toys in the backyard for the grandkid. If that's what you want, how you get there is really less important. And the life insurance and annuities of today are not the ones our grandparents had, or probably even our parents had. These things are changing. The competition is fierce. So these companies have to be on it. They're creating new things and they're adding so much more value. I loved your cable TV Roku stick. That's a really good analogy. I've never heard that one before. But
yeah. Me
it
neither.
makes
I
a lot
just
of
thought
sense.
of that, and we're not even sponsored by Roku, but
Yet.
it is, and it's amazing what I
Yeah.
mean. I was also, man, I'm one of these guys that like I'm never gonna get a DVD player. I like having
Oh
my
yeah.
VHS tapes. When I got the DVD player, it's like, oh, this is then when the Blu-ray came out, I'm like, heck no, I'm just keep my DVD player. I'm not gonna well, guess
Yeah.
what? You get a Blu-ray and you're like, oh, I see the advantage of that.
Yeah.
Now you don't need any of those things, right?
Right.
Because you got
That's
the
right.
streaming stuff. But we can get stubborn and stuck in our ways. And if we're not careful, it can really cost us in a lot of areas and financially and retirement and all this kind of stuff. Man, it can really cost us just because
It,
of our stubbornness
yeah.
and our preconceived thoughts. And maybe a neighbor got burned by something or some one of these products. Okay, that happens. You know what I mean? You ever went to a restaurant and the burger was cooked well done when you wanted it medium? I mean, it can happen, but it doesn't mean that restaurant's got horrible burgers, right?
Right.
And so keep your mindset open to a bunch of this different stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, learn.
And ask questions.
Hmm.
Sit down with Johnny. That's the thing. I love John. Johnny's not scared of questions, right? So we're talking about a pot of gold. The question is, how much gold do you want in your pot? You're going to have a big pot. It's going to be overflowing with gold or it's not. And a lot of that has to do with how you structure your retirement plans for income, for tax protection, for RMDs that we talked about, for long term care. All of these play into what eventually becomes your pot of gold. And so I would challenge our audience to try to we called it years ago stump the chump, when somebody would try to ask you a question that you didn't know. And I would challenge
Mhm.
them to sit down with you and stump the chump, Johnny, and say, Johnny, here are my questions, here are my concerns, and talk. And Johnny's not going to try to wrestle you to the ground. He's going to educate you, maybe send you home with a copy of his book and say, just read this. And then let's talk some more. And it's going to be at their pace because sometimes it takes a while to get used to a new idea. It took you a little bit to get used to Roku, right? It's okay. You're going to be there. You're going to help educate people on how to have a great retirement with a good pot of gold so they can retire at new heights. Fair?
Very fair. And if we, if I don't personally know the answer, we got a great team, great
Yeah.
resources. Man, we find out because we want to be on the cutting edge of things. We want to know, we want to be able to teach you how to use the Roku, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and be able to do those kind of things. If something else came out, hey, this is the newest thing that's out there. Just take a look at it, see what's available, how it benefits you or how it doesn't. It doesn't benefit everybody, you know what I mean? But you just need to know the options and be open to hearing about them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could lose a
I love
lot.
it. We don't want you to lose in retirement. And one of the best ways to do it is just sit down and talk with Johnny. RetireAtNewHeights.com is where you can go to get a copy of his Amazon best-selling book by the same title, and have a good conversation with our good Lucky Charms Irish friend,
Yes, sir.
Grandpa
Oh,
Johnny Roberts. All right, we'll talk to
absolutely.
you next time, my friend.
All right. See you, Mike.